Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we will be meeting with John Nyhart, who is a connection of mine through LinkedIn. And I just want to take a moment today to talk to him a little bit, introduce him to you, and you can get to know him also. So, with that, John, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, it's John Nyhart. I work as a vice president with a company called ShiftKey. We're located in Dallas, Texas. A little background on myself. Grew up throughout different parts of the United States. Landed in Dallas, Texas in '89 and been here ever since. And I've worked primarily my entire career within either healthcare IT, IT staffing, or healthcare staffing. So those three roads all converge, and really what I'm doing now is ShiftKey.
Awesome, awesome. So, what interests you about what you do now?
Uh,
What's
yeah, go ahead. What was that?
yeah.
Well, we were you and I have talked before in the past about how the market has changed from being a human resource heavy market within HR and staffing to now being a technology dependent market. And I like the
Mhm.
fact that as we go towards technology, we can use it to expedite the hiring process, expedite the credentialing and background checks, et cetera, when you're looking for qualified candidates. And it allows a more streamlined approach, and then you can find more people quicker with technology than we could in the past. So I think iterations have gone from somebody sending a resume through the mail off of an ad that they read in a newspaper. I remember early in my career, I wrote for the Business Employment Weekly an article, and now that's not even in existence anymore. It's all online, and then we went online, and it was still sending a resume to an individual that would screen it and pass it on, and we've gotten to the point now where all of that onboarding really is done by the candidate within our nursing world. They send their credentials, they upload their background checks that are and set them up through our third-party vendors. They can upload and send links to their nursing degrees and certificates and licensing and et cetera, and really has taken that human element out of the front end of the process and allows more people to have access to opportunities quicker, I think. And that's,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think, I think that that's translating over to what your uh, listeners are looking for, ways to create efficiencies within their human resources and project management and other things that they're doing as far as their job tasks as well.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. You know, I'm the same as you. You know, I've worked for a number of companies now, and I too remember when you would go into your first day of work, and there would be this well, I back up even. You
Yeah.
would apply for a job, and either you have to call and set up an appointment to fill out an application, or you would just walk in and ask to fill out an application. And then when you got the job and it was your first day, you spent that whole first day doing all this paperwork, and the HR person would walk away with this huge pile of paper. And then part of it was like your background check and stuff like that. And they would say, okay, well, you have a job, you can start now, and in a few weeks, we'll have back all your background check stuff, and then we'll know if you get to keep it.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
yeah. So it's interesting that all these systems now exist to make that process so intuitive and take away so much of that paper element and speed things up. And you had called this software as a service, correct?
Yes, I mean, I think that's the whole marketplace. I look at some of the leaders in this space, and I, again, am not an expert, but I like to attribute Uber to sort of opening up the eyes to many organizations to say, oh, wow, we can be a very large organization. We can assist what our customers need, find their pain point, and get it to them at a price point and ease of service that's so much better than what had been in the past. And so that's what I think a lot of people should be looking at if they're going to use software, create a software. It's neat to have software that gives me a mustache on my telephone or something fun. But really, if you look at what in your market space, what the customer absolutely could use, and then designing a platform that would actually help them do that, I think the sky is the limit as far as
Hmm.
the growth and the potential if you're looking at software as a service.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So tell me a little bit about ShiftKey. Like, what does ShiftKey do? Do you build systems? Do you already have systems and you help people implement? Are you a broker? Like, what is ShiftKey?
So yeah, we are we used to be, let me go start up from the past, a traditional nurse staffing agency. So we would literally have individuals that were contacting and talking to nurses and people in the healthcare world, getting them interested in us. And then we had the same person calling around to facilities that were short-staffed or needed extra staff, because in healthcare it's a 24/7 environment. You can't shut down
Hmm.
at Friday at 5 and tell your patients to go home and we'll see you on Monday. They're there 24/7, and so you need 24/7 coverage. So we're a traditional agency, and we had 30, 40 people trying to just run an agency to bring people to a few facilities in a few states. And then we said, what is our client looking for? They want ease of onboarding so that they get good, qualified, people that have been checked and credentialed, that they can show up, have the licensing they need in the background. They
Hmm.
want the ability to save money. So the more people that you have in a process, the more money that obviously it's going to cost. So by eliminating overhead and expediting onboarding, we've been able to get our client base through the use of technology to do everything on their own. They get to look at the providers that are coming in. They get to see two or three of them that might want that same work that they're looking for. They get to check out their entire background. They get to look at their credentials. They get to see everything, and they don't ever have to talk to a third party who's trying to potentially sell them because that's the only candidate they have. They're trying to
Right.
manipulate the data. Having raw, transparent data that they can look at and see the full background on somebody has really helped them. And then it doesn't hurt that because of our systems that we built internally with a fantastic development team, the systems that we built save them money. So
Hmm.
it's kind of a win-win for them. And then for us, it's a win because although we don't charge as much and don't make as much of a margin than a traditional agency, so more money goes to the nurse, more money goes to the facility, and everybody seems to be happy, and we make sure the process runs smoothly, and we can do it because we have the best technology.
Yeah, yeah. And so is the system that you all have more of
Proprietary.
just? I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm sorry, yes, it is an internally built and proprietary system.
Sure, yeah. And but is it just for the recruiting process? Is it, or is it a full HR management system?
No, it's more for specifically the recruitment and management of nurses. However,
Okay.
we are in other spaces and doing things that will lend itself to light industrial or any other adjacencies that require time and attendance and also background checks or drug screens or a commercial driver's license check, things like that. Anything that requires a little bit further level of investigation works well with the way that our system works.
Okay. Okay. And how about in terms of the recruiting? Do you all do that too, or is that really you have more of the platform that internal recruiters for companies can use?
No, we don't resell this. So what we do is for us on the nursing side and the healthcare providers, we have individuals here that reach out to the community, reach out to organizations or groups of nurses. We can run advertisements that are driving traffic to the website. So ultimately, we do use a human element to connect with the individuals to get our name in front of them.
Hmm.
Or a podcast like this, or other places where people might be listening and looking for new ideas or new work for themselves. They can utilize that. But then once they go to the system, on our website, they can automatically do everything on their own. I would say 90% of the people can get through it on their own. The other 10% might have a question about technology or the best place to take a test or things of that
Hmm.
nature. And we have customer experience executives that are also here to help with any questions that occur.
Excellent, excellent. So if somebody, whether it's someone working for a company that could use your services,
Uh-huh.
or it's a nurse who's looking for a job or something, how would they get a hold of ShiftKey?
The best way to do it is to just go to the website, which is just the typical URL of www.shiftkey.com, or they can and on there is a phone number, information on how to contact somebody directly, and everything on there is also set up so they can onboard themselves to the process. If they don't want to call someone directly, they can begin to upload their information. There's links to the tests that they're required to take to show that they're competent within that particular skill set. And if it's a facility, if it's from a long-term care facility, senior care centers, nursing homes and such, up through hospitals and surgical centers and such, the information on that website would direct them to the correct person to talk to within the organization.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's certainly an interesting topic, software as a service, and something that a lot of companies can use and should consider, just for efficiencies when they're in their own companies. For everyone who's listening, go ahead and check below the podcast player, and you will see John's information there, so that you can get a hold of him and you can get a hold of ShiftKey. And yeah, John, thank you once again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to talking soon.
You definitely.